everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome in general. Today I'll be doing a video on another topic in my one-on-one series. Today's topic is going to be how to cover up your blemishes. Now, let me get a disclaimer out there. You basically can't cover texture on your skin. You can cover the redness and you can cover the irritation, but you can't cover texture. So I have a pretty good way to cover the redness. It's what I do. I use a couple affordable products, and then I also use a lot of high-end products. So if you would like to learn how to cover up your blemishes, then go ahead and keep watching. But before you do, if you're new and you haven't subscribed, or if you just haven't subscribed in general, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I would really honestly appreciate it. And if you want notifications to your inbox when I post new videos, go ahead and click that little bell button next to the subscribe button. And yeah, without wasting any more of your time, if you want to see how to cover up your blemishes, then just go ahead and keep on. Okay, so to begin, as always, I'm going to go in with the time in a bottle philosophy little thing, and I am going to put this all over my face. Okay, so once that is down, you want to go ahead and prime your face. So I'm gonna go in with the Coconut Skin Smoothing Primer Moisturizer by First Aid. It looks like this. I just got a little sample of it and I want to try it out. So I'm gonna take like a little dollop of this. There we go, and put this all over. Apply some under eye cream. So now all those things are applied to my face. I can go and start with my makeup for the face. So basically what today I am going to be doing is covering up my face, just because I do have some breakouts, time of month type of deal. So I want to teach you basically how to conceal the redness on your face and kind of the way that I do. I tend to have pretty good skin, but sometimes during the time of month, my skin gets a little crazy and I want to cover things up like that. So what I'm going to be using is the NYX little palette, the color palette right here. So for red, you want to go across the color wheel. So if you have redness on your face, you want to go for the green because those are the opposite side of the color wheel from each other. If you have like purple under eyes, you want to go and use like a peachy undertone for your under eyes and things of that sort. So today for redness, I'm going to be using the green. And with this, I do like to use my fingers, so I will just dab over the areas that I have the redness on. And I like to apply this pretty generously. And I know that some people like to buff this out. Personally, I like to kind of buff out the edges with like a beauty blender, but where the actual problem is, I try to keep it just in that area. I don't like to touch it very much. I feel like if you buff it out, the color, especially with something like NYX, that is generally a cheaper formula, I like to kind of just leave it be instead of blending it out, because then it seems to just like completely disappear. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Laura Mercier powder, dab some in here, and I'm going to take a small little brush, make sure it has no color on it, and I'm going to take the translucent powder and I'm going to set these areas down. So I really want the green to kind of stay over the redness and to mask it instead of having me blend this out and then having it kind of be spread out and be less opaque and just kind of be blended away, you know? So when you have breakouts on your face and you did cover them up, you want to use something that's super high coverage, but is also very like airy and not cakey. You kind of want to just mask it instead of putting a whole bunch of stuff on top. And I like to use things that kind of dry down by themselves, so that I don't have to apply extra powders on top of my face and make it look super cakey. So today I'll be using my Sephora airbrush foundation. And you also want to make sure to use clean tools. So make sure that your beauty blender is completely washed out. There are no bacteria, because you don't want to spread any bacteria that are on your blemishes around the face. So I'm gonna go and shake this up. And I'm going to generally apply this all over my face. And the areas where you did apply the green, you want to be very careful and very gentle on those areas to not move the green concealer that you have down. And you kind of want to put a good amount of this foundation on just to make sure to cover up the green, because since we didn't blend it completely out, the green is pretty prominent. But you can cover that up with this foundation, and since this is a very airy and not cakey foundation, you don't have to worry about it looking super, super cakey. And then kind of just keep reapplying until you have the right coverage down for your liking. And do remember that depending on what area your blemishes are, keep in mind that you will also be applying some concealer there. You don't have to cake it completely up with just foundation. I'm gonna do a nice little another layer on top of those places. Once you have that down, you're gonna apply your concealer. So I also suggest using a very high coverage non-cakey concealer, which I'm going to be using the Tarte Shape Tape. I always say tape shape, it's Shape Tape. And I'm gonna take this and apply it everywhere where I would normally apply it. But if you are going over blemishes, make sure to not drag it and kind of just dab it onto the area. And then taking that same beauty blender, just blend those places out. And if you do have a lot of blemishes, I would say to get the Shape Tape in a color that's exactly the color of your skin for coverage purposes or like blemish purposes, because it's super, super pigmented and it does such a good job covering things. It'd be perfect for people who do have really, really problematic skin. So once you have that down, I'm gonna go and powder my face. Since this is stuff that kind of does dry down by itself, I'm not using a ton of powder. I'm just going over the concealed areas pretty much. And using not a lot of the powder, but just very gently tapping this on and then dispersing the rest of the product that you have on the rest of the face, just to kind of keep it consistent. So once you have done all of that, just bronze up your face a little bit. I'm just using my MAC Give Me Sun. And if you are bronzing over the places where you concealed your blemishes, make sure to use very, very light strokes to buff away any of the product that you set down there. So as you can see, some of the blemishes are still peeping out just because things slide around on your face no matter how hard you try. So what I like to do is I like to take a like a Bare Minerals type of skin powder that's a loose pigment, and I take kind of a slightly fluffy brush. I usually take like a tight liner E16 by Sigma, and I dip into this powder. You just gotta make sure that it is the color of your face, and I just like to kind of go over the places where you can still see the blemishes and kind of cover them up that way. You want to kind of just gently like tap over the blemishes and a little bit around them. Like I said, you really got to make sure that it is a color that is really close to you. And once you have done that, what you can do is you can set your face. I'm going to go and use my Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. Once you do that, you might have to reapply a little bit of that same powder. And once your face is dry, you just want to do a little bit more touching up on those areas. Because when you do set your face, things do move around just a tiny bit as well. And honestly, scabs are the hardest thing to cover up, which is what I have right here, which is sounds really honestly gross when it comes to things that are on your face. But when you pop a zit, like I always do, you just really can't get away without it scabbing over like this. I know that some people use a lot more products, like they will color correct and then they'll use a concealer and then they will set it and then they will put foundation on and then they will double spot conceal. This is just kind of what I feel like looks the most natural. Honestly, you cannot cover texture, so no matter how hard you try, you just can't cover texture. And with the tips that I have, as you can see, the pimples that are not popped at all totally just are masked not texture wise, but redness wise. You can't see that there's anything red on my face. So this is how I cover up any kind of pimples that I have on my face. And honestly, this method stays on the longest. Making sure just to use products that are thin and long wearing are going to be your two best bets on keeping everything spot concealed and everything hidden for the whole day. So I hope that you did learn something, and if you have any other questions, feel free to ask them down below. All the products will be listed down below as well, with links to where you can buy them. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!